This is Mr. Royce J of Royce J Media coming at you guys with yet another live stream. How are you today? What's happening? Yeah. Yep. Want to let a few people get into the room before we get going. How was everybody's weekend? Well, my weekend was cool. I have no complaints. Um, last week being the first week of January, uh, there was a bit going on. And some of those going ons we're going to talk about today on this show. So, like I said, I want to let a few people get into the room before I get started. As you come in, like the video, subscribe to my channel if you already haven't subscribed. And at the bottom of my screen, you see my Cash App scrolling across. If you feel it in your heart, drop something in the Cash App to contribute to the show, to help me make this show better. I'm building it as I fly. So um the show will get better over time, and anything that you are able to contribute to that, I would greatly appreciate it. Um I know definitely for sure I would like to get a new mic. Um I got a decent mic right now, so sure. But I'd like to get a new mic. Get a new mixing board, so forth, so on. And with your contributions, I would be able to do that. So I appreciate you. Yeah, yeah. So what y'all got going on today? Mike Reed, what up? What up? Mike Reed is one of my day ones on this new project. I appreciate him. Um, he also has a channel. He teaches uh, about the appliance industry, the appliance repair industry. I think both on the residential and the corporate side. Check out his channel, subscribe, and hopefully you can learn some stuff. He's got some good information on there. Yeah. So I'm gonna let a few more people get in the chat, and then we'll get going because man, our buddy Cat Williams has he has broken the internet. I wish I could break the internet like that. You know, man, uh, I don't know necessarily like that, but I would like to break the internet. Everybody's talking, all the comedians for sure, and he has triggered quite a few of the top dogs in the game. These guys are the gatekeepers. Your Steve Harveys, your Kevin Harts, and then you got your B and C list comedians that he's pissed off, like that he's triggered, like Faison Love. So it's definitely it's definitely gonna be an interesting conversation. As far as comedy, I like Cat. I don't necessarily, I'm not a Cat Williams super fan, but when he has specials on, I watch him. You know, um, I to me one of the greatest comedians of that era, of that time around where Cat came along. Um, I'm more of a Patrice O'Neal, um, you know, type of, that's more my favorite. Uh, but hey, Cat by all means is one of the top comedians today. I'm also a huge Dave Chappelle fan. I think I'm more of a fan of his now than I was when the Chappelle show was out. Although I like that a lot, and it was a great show. Um, I think I like what he does now even better. Even though I don't agree with you know some of the stuff as far as his uh, political stances, you know, um, but I love how he's coming in defense of comedy, from what the blue hairs are trying to turn it into, you know. And like I said, Cat Williams, uh, you know, he's a comedian that I like. Um, he's in that range of favorites. Uh, that like I said, every time he has a special, I make it a point to watch him. You know, and he's very entertaining. You know, so yeah. Well, if we're not gonna get any more people in, I'll get started. I gotta pull up some stuff with Cat Williams. Recently Cat Williams was on Club Shay Shay, which is the Shannon Sharp podcast. Why a big muscular grown man would call himself Shay Shay. Basically, when he was playing, he was a super athlete. Why he would call himself Shay Shay, I don't get it. Um, I wouldn't do it, but hey, that's him. You know, he's got to live his life. So uh, it is what it is. Um, anyway, he sat down with Shannon Sharp, and they talked about basically, what was going on with Cat. Um, his viewpoints on other comedians, uh, just his point of view on life, different things like that. So it was definitely interesting. Um, I know a couple of guys that are actually traveling comics that one of them he's got a bit of notoriety for a couple of skits he did years ago, and he's still out there actively doing shows and stuff. And you know, being a comic is not easy. A lot of people think that they're funny, but they're not necessarily um they're not necessarily uh comic material. Not everybody can be a comic. And I think in this day and age, what has happened with a lot of comics, what has happened with the comedy field is that you have a lot of people that were able to get um notoriety from social media, and then they tried to get out there and uh, actually get on the road and get in front of live audiences like comedians, and they discovered how hard it is. Being a comic is not easy, not at all. Giving speeches in front of crowds is not easy. I've had to do it both on the military side when I was in law enforcement, even when I was in college, different classes I took, I had to get in front of audiences, and it's not easy, especially, you have to make it, when you have to make it look natural, you have to make it look like, you're well prepared and stuff. That's easier said than done. And so, um, being a comedian is one of those areas to where it is, you know, it takes work. And I think Cat is one of the guys that has actually done the work.
Rev up your
And
dreams at Daytona Kia.
I think he is pretty much a master at his craft, you know. Um, and one of the things we found out watching this whole watching the interview, we found out that Cat is competitive and he's very open with being competitive. And this kind of goes to um, a bit of with his upbringing. You know, he was, he was a bit of an athlete, and he has a competitive spirit. And so we did learn that about him, and I appreciate that because uh, I was competitive at a certain point. So I appreciate that. Um, we also learned that Cat is pretty benevolent. You know, he's helped out a lot of people, and I've heard stories over the years about the people that he's done little things for. You know, like giving them money at times that they need the money, uh, different things like that. Giving opening up opportunities to people to kind of get their careers going. And I appreciate that because not everybody needs a hand out. Sometimes they just need a hand up. And Cat has demonstrated, both by his own words and by the words of others, how he's helped people in the industry to, you know, get work. I think that's great, you know. And that's the part where it gets interesting because you know, there according to Cat Williams, there have been people inside the industry that have tried to shut him out of certain things within the industry. And this is not surprising because I think in every endeavor, in every pursuit, you have gatekeepers. You have people that they they want to be the ones that you have to go through in order to get certain opportunities. You know, as far as far as you know, getting into the fields of stuff that you want to get into. So, um, as soon as I find a good place I want to start, we'll uh we'll start talking about that. We'll start talking about Cat with the Gatekeepers. You know, well, what's funny? He also talked about his upbringing in the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, which I have some experience uh, with those people, and that my mom at one time was she was affiliated with the Jehovah's Witnesses, and she brought me up. For we spent the time in the church, and all the time we spent in the church in the Jehovah's Witnesses organization was the time that the Cosby Show was real active, and we would have to go to meetings on Thursday, and I would be mad as shit because I would always miss the uh the Cosby Show. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to watch the Cosby Show, man. I wanted to watch the Cosby Show. When a different world came on, I wanted to watch that too. And I could never watch it because I would be at the Kingdom Hall around kids I didn't like because I felt they were all phony. Around adults I didn't like because I felt that they were all phony. And so I would be mad and pissed off, and I had my differences. And then somebody suggested, well, maybe you need to read the Bible for yourself. Worst thing they could have ever told me, because I not only did I read it for myself once, I read it 3 times. And then by that third time I knew I wanted nothing to do with these people, because I was like, you all on just as much bullshit as everybody else. you know, and in fact, this book got a lot of contradictory information. And whenever I ask you all a question about to explain this, why this don't match with this, you all tell me to have faith. And no, I don't work that way. I work by information, you know. And so that's when, um, it was because of that. And I wanted to have a regular experience of a teenager at the time. I wanted a girlfriend. I like girls, and I wanted to be like other young guys that age. I wanted a girlfriend. I wanted to be able to have somebody I can hold hands with down walking down the hallway at school and different stuff. And I didn't want to spend all. I didn't want to spend my Saturdays and Sundays and Thursdays and all these other days, out being a preacher for this organization. That wasn't what was in me, you know. Um, they were against stuff like karate and stuff like that. And I like karate. I like boxing and wrestling and stuff. They didn't want you to do none of that. You know, all of the stuff I wanted to do and experience growing up as a young man, that you couldn't do that with them because it was about spreading the message of the kingdom. And I was like, listen, you all got people for that. I don't want to be one of the people for that. Let me find something else. Oh, and I wanted to be the police, or a soldier or something. It, they didn't want you doing that. They didn't want you doing none of that stuff. And so I wasn't was it. I wasn't with it. It's like no, and then I saw the racism of certain people in there. You had black people going, to these religious groups looking for the answer to racism,
Let's
man.
get to your upbringing. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, raised in
Yeah,
Dayton,
all
Ohio.
these
What was
places.
Cat Williams' upbringing like?
So,
Your parents were Jehovah Witness. You were a prodigy. You were brilliant. You talked to me that you got accepted to college at 7 years of age. You could read fluently at 3 years of age. So having that kind of knowledge, having that kind of prodigy, or so what was so? I mean, was it? What was your upbringing? How was it? How was life as Cat Williams Crunk coming up?
I was often confused because I knew things and I wasn't sure how I knew them. I knew things that felt like I don't have a reason that I know this, but I love to read. I was voracious because they told me when I was young that knowledge was powerful. That knowledge was power, and I had studied powerful people, and I really believe that. I immediately, my next project was to read the whole encyclopedia set. So when you're like 6, 7 years old, you don't.
all right, I'm gonna pause right here. It's funny that he mentions this because um, this is although hold on, let me
Consider that New Year's
it's
resolutions.
it's funny that he mentions that because that's one of the things I will say about Jehovah's Witnesses. Uh, Even though I have a lot of disagreements with them, one thing they do push is kids being able to read as soon as possible. Um, and a lot of the kids are very good readers and speakers early. You know, they push that a lot, and I think that is one of the that's one of the key things you need in self education. That's one of the things you need in education, period, and even in indoctrination. You need people to be able to read because you want them to read what you want them to read, and you want to be able to shape the information in into the direction you want it to go. So they push literacy as far as reading very fervently, and a lot of their kids, if you've ever been around them, a lot of their kids read, um, are advanced readers at very early ages. So that's one of the things that about them that I do agree with, and I also kind of agree with how they they do a soft. Well, back in the late '80s, back in the '80s when my mom was affiliated with them. In fact, that my mom was affiliated with them in the early '80s. They push a soft form of arranged marriages, which I think I don't have an issue with that. I think it's actually a good idea. I think, as you all know, I support things like arranged marriages and stuff like that. If you're going to be married, you want the families involved. You want people screened to make sure uh, they would be a workable fit. I'm not going to say perfect fit. There's no such thing because you're dealing with two different people with two different mindsets, different things like that. But um, you know that they are you can get them to work together, build towards a common goal. That equally yoked thing is not money, although modern women like to say it's a money thing. It's really not. You know, in fact, women aren't expected to be bringing money themselves into traditional in most traditional marriages. The money is a man thing. That equally yoked is your religious and social values. You know, that's where that comes from. But they perverted it into a money thing and all kind of other stuff. And it's basically it only works to the advantage of the modern woman. You know, it's to her advantage and her advantage only. So, getting back to what we were looking at with Katt, you know, they the Jehovah's Witnesses have some things that I agree with, but overall, um, you know, there are things within their organization I
Nothing.
disagree with. So let's get back to the video.
I don't. He work every day, rain or shine.
I don't know if you saw this, but Taraji P. Henson got extremely emotional the other day. She was giving an interview
Yes.
and saying that they're vastly underpaid and say the math is not mathing. They get X amount of dollars by the time Uncle Sam get his cut, by the time the agency get their cut, and what you see they were supposed to get is a fraction of that. Where do you come down on that, Katt?
It was the saddest thing ever because imagine being in your genre, in your sub niche, whatever it is. Imagine being in your lane. Imagine being one of the very top of your lane. That to the point where if they don't take you for the role, there's not 3 black actresses that they can say are bigger than you that we're gonna give this to.
All right. I kind of want to skip. Nah, yeah, that went further than I don't know what happened there. I
Your
went a lot
IT
further than I
deserves an
want to go.
update. Introducing Atera, the all
Saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly.
Hold on, let's.
My first marriage, I got married when I was 24.
Yeah, this
Scenes
is.
here at Obsidian Radio, and I
No,
so
no,
deeply appreciated
that's
him for that.
that's
We got off to a bit of a love rate start because we
that's not. I don't know what happened. All right, we got a. I don't know, man. YouTube. It's on YouTube, man. Be on some YouTube and OBS, man. Be tripping, man. So let me do this again. Cause this is what was being shown with the ads stuff is not what I wanted to talk about. All right, be patient. I'd appreciate it.
In Dayton. Let's get to your upbringing. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, raised in Dayton, Ohio.
That knowledge was power, and I 5, 10,000 people giving a performance with a full suit and tie on. You know what I mean? So it hasn't. It came full circle for my life. I knew that the applause and I'm saying I'm almost 100 years old right now, but if we go outside right now, I can run a 4.340 or sub. I can do a.
All right, fair use, fair use. This is Cat talking about um, his competitiveness and athleticism. Um, which I appreciate because, um, that's I like I said before, I had a little bit of an athletic background, so I appreciate that, and let's continue.
416 if I'm
Oh,
in
there's Jim.
short. Reads French. So I'm in charge of everything from the housing to the cars to the gardener. Like I'm saying, so I'm not just reading, I'm reading in. So,
I have come home and I have stood at the base of the steps just dreading the 40s.
I was afraid, but I couldn't be that afraid because I knew what had happened with Jesus. I knew how it worked out. I knew that I wasn't in the wrong with how I was feeling, and I knew that if you say that my family is very religious, just say I'm not. So anything that I'm going to do is going to fall out of the guidelines.
Right.
But I'm not going to let you tell me what I'm going to be, even especially if what you're saying is wrong.
All right, let's stop right here for a second. This is that's kind of what I was talking about before, with dealing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't want to make this all about the Jehovah's Witnesses and my grievance with them and why Cat left them, but that that being said, that was one of the things that one of the issues I took with the organization. They want you to be what they want you to be. You don't have any autonomy as a person, and I didn't like that. So um, let's
Get to your upbringing. Born in Cincinnati, Ohio, raised in Dayton, Ohio. What was Cat Williams' upbringing like? Your parents were Jehovah Witness. You were a prodigy. You were brilliant.
let's get to the part
No
where
issues whatsoever, despite what they lead people to believe. I make pretty good decisions.
Were you not? So how was their relationship with your father? Were you not afraid to leave?
What drug? And guess what, Shannon?
What?
Nobody had a great story. What? Talk about scared straight. You ain't got to worry about me.
all right, hold on. Um, I believe that's a clip, and that's not a clip of what I wanted. So let me uh let me go back to the main screen, and I'll check in the browser, and we'll find I'll find some stuff where he actually addressed the issue with um, uh, about some of the other comedians that he was talking about. You know, let's see. Let's do this.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had.
Okay. So we'll do this, and we'll talk about this as far as the
I chose Wix for my.
we'll talk about this as a jump off point with the gatekeepers. It's a short.
The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole
There you
sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit and then he gets this high top fade, making all black men think he got the best lineup in the business, and it's a man unit. Then you ask it, why you not a movie star?
Hey. Hey, that man unit. Hey, it's a man unit. what the what the hell is a man unit? Oh man. Oh, I lost my shit when I first saw that, man. You said it's a man unit. What the fuck is a man unit? Apparently, it's a high top fade. It's a wig for men. Oh, yeah, that was hilarious. Let's get
The
back to it.
same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had. Now Steve got a sitcom where he the principal and he wear a suit.
Ooh, man, that was rough. All right, so let's talk about this with Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is considered to be one of the gatekeepers. He has you know, he's had several shows like that. He had the show where he was a school he was like a school teacher or a school administrator, something like that. Uh, that was basically like that Mark Curry show. I remember that both of those shows back in the day. He had the Kings of Comedy, which Cat Williams brought that up. That how could he be the king of comedy, or how could these guys be the kings of comedy? Which was him, which was Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, D.L. Hughley, and Bernie Mac. And it was Cat Williams' position that how could these guys call themselves the kings of comedy when Richard Pryor was still alive? You still had Eddie Murphy, um, you know, going at it at that time. Um, George Carlin was still around. Robin Williams, and these are some of the names that was actually mentioned by Cat Williams, and I agree. I mean, you even had Dick Gregory was still around. Um, you know, it was a good point. Although the title itself was a gimmick, so I get it. I get it. And what he did was he challenged the gimmick, which I understand. I understand completely. Then getting back to the point that Steve Harvey is a gatekeeper, um, he is pretty much he's one of the what they call one of the chosen Negroes, where not only is he huge among black audiences, he's huge because he saved the white audiences. And so, when they like you, they take you and they put you in positions to be a comfortable medium to what they think the black community is, you know. And this, you know, when you put it that way, this is why you see, Kevin Hart in the current position he's in as well. You know, you had a few other people that tried to attain that. Chris Tucker briefly held that position, but as Cat Williams brought out in this interview with Shannon Sharp, Chris Tucker was um, not willing to compromise himself in certain ways, and he didn't want to be seen in a certain light, which uh, the consequence of that is that most favorite Negro title is more or less removed. You know, and I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad thing. That's just what it is, you know, especially when you talk the entertainment field. And that's what it was up until now, where you have more ways um, for really all people to bypass the usual barriers of entry into the fields that they want to get into. You don't have to simply you're not simply stuck at the behest of the gatekeepers to where you have to monkey dance from. You know, um, let's see if we can find some more uh some more information on what Cat Williams was talking about. Um, he talks about Diddy, another gatekeeper, you know, which was
Want to make
you know,
Shopify? Here's how to do it in a few easy steps. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com.
these ads are killing me because I can't get paid for running ads. You know,
So Diddy catches
I just want to get to the material so I can do my show. Shout out to Hip Hop DX. Um, this is we're gonna grab some of their clips and briefly examine those to talk about this Cat Williams situation. Examine what they examined, some of what they examined, and we'll talk about it.
The same Steve that went.
Hold on, let me. Okay, just open it up. Man, I got an eyelash. All right. Got an eyelash in the wrong spot.
So Diddy catches strays from Cat Williams in this wild Shannon Sharp interview. Hey, what's up? I'm A-Dub, and check this out.
Again, Diddy is one of those gatekeepers we talked about.
In an unfiltered appearance on Shannon Sharp's club Shay Shay, Cat Williams took a number of shots at Diddy, who was recently accused of federal instances of sexual assault, but denies any wrongdoing. At one point during the chat, he said he turned down an invitation to one of Diddy's parties due to gay sex allegedly taking place at them.
Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely.
Ken, I need to know.
Hey, hey, man, hey, the secret is out about Diddy. The secret is out about Diddy and his wild parties. It ain't, the secret ain't a secret no more. Not at all. That of what Diddy is into. And I mean, hey, if it's with adults, it is what it is. I have no interest in it, but that's what he like to get. That's what he's into, and that's his business and their business. Uh, hey, can you hear me? Yeah, you say it was personal for that you said it was personal for Cat. Hey, can you hear me now, Mike? Can you hear me now? So yeah, you know, Diddy is one of those gatekeepers, and he's suspected in a lot of uh, shenanigans and outright crimes um, connected to the gatekeeping. So you know, Cat exposed Cat exposed his experiences with Diddy. You know, and when you talk Hollywood, when you talk entertainment, um, we have all outside of the business. We've heard the rumors about what goes on in the business, and Cat more or less, you know, he confirmed some of the things we have heard being outsiders, you know, and you know, I'm pretty sure with all the other stuff that's going on with Diddy, you know, I'm pretty sure he's not happy about that. So let's let's uh let's take a look at some other stuff. Um, you know, let's see if we can find out what Cat Williams had to say about Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is really uh he's one of the latest gatekeepers as well. Um, and um, you know, Cat has some things to say about him. You know, Kevin is he's one of the favorites right now, and you know, let's see what Cat had to say.
In Hollywood. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television?
So let's stop right here for a second. Um, this is interesting that he said this because there are certain comedians that seem like um, they got a fast pass to you know a certain status, and as I mentioned before, there is a such thing as the favorite Negro um, idea in entertainment with white people. And to be fair, it's not just for white people because black people have their own favorite Negroes. You know, they have their own version of that as well. And I'm pretty sure in the Latin community, there exists that. Um, on the black side, in my opinion, it was Tyler Perry. You know, Tyler Perry, you know, because he appealed um, and he tapped into the minds of Black American women. He became the most favorite Negro among Black entertainment uh, by Black people. So, but you know, with Kevin Hart, Cat Williams makes a great point. Let's continue.
And had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading. No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of.
Oh, he called him a plant. He called him a plant. Hey, listen, listen. The way he laid that out is the way I've explained Sexy Red and Dr. Umar and a few other Cynthia G and a few other people. Certain people show up at certain places for a very good reason. Even Vivek Ramaswamy, arguably, you know, he's likely a plant. You know that's how I see it with him. He's likely a plant. All of the people that I mentioned, they have something about them um that seems like it you don't see. It's like their ascendancy is it's there's something artificial about it, and there's something very programmed uh underneath what they're presenting. And so and he says this about Kevin Hart, and looking at it, I kind of agree. I remember when Soul Plane came out, it was kind of like, Kevin Hart more or less came out of nowhere. It was, he definitely had a hand up, you know. The thing is from who and why. So yeah, like, it's like again, Sexy Red. What's the other one from Houston? Whose eyes are too far apart? Glorilla. Megan Thee Stallion. They're all plants. And in my opinion, they came out of nowhere. Um, and it's not that they came out of nowhere and they had a hit song and and they got on. It's the speed and the magnitude. It was like it was intended to be that big immediately. It was microwave success, and that's the same thing with Kevin Hart, a few other people I've seen, that I've mentioned, and some others that I haven't mentioned. Let's go back. Let's look at some more of this video from, actually, this is from the Club Shay Shay YouTube channel. So shout out to them. We are going to
Most content creators don't know that you could add 10 to 50K per month in income with one simple content formula, a few thousand followers.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club.
I think we went past that part.
But Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people.
All right. It's interesting about the blackball comment. It's getting harder for the gatekeepers to blackball people, and I think now we are entering an era of brutal truth. You see a lot of truths about a lot of groups that were propped up and a lot of arrangements. We're starting to see a lot of uncomfortable truths about certain things, and I think it's just going to grow and continue. Let's look at some more of the video.
In 30 years, Steve Harvey don't do stand-up no more. Cedric doesn't write. I'm sorry, he doesn't write. Ricky Smiley has been playing the same old black woman forever. Like, you can't get a young fan base with that. Like, you gotta be doing karaoke around the country to make that work.
Right.
And he is. But I'm a stand-up comedian. This is my 19th 100-city tour. I'm not gonna have a conversation with these lazy bums that'll take a shortcut at any point. Yes, it's easier for you.
Woo! Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Man. Brutal. Brutal truth. Hey, the thing he mentioned about Steve Harvey not writing, Cedric the Entertainer not writing, Ricky Smiley not writing, Ricky Smiley playing the same old lady for since the 90s. Yeah, I mean it's a brutal but true indictment. Um, and there's not there's this, and it's not to say that these people should be writing all their own material. Um, you know, you use the resources that are available to you. Um, I'm a believer in that. But there is, I know with comedy, with rap and stuff like that, there is there's a certain norm in where you are the primary creator of your own performance material. If you're a writer, you write all your raps. You're a comedian, you write all your jokes and stuff. And I think that's a romanticized idea of how to do business, but you it's not an uncommon view among people, especially at the lower levels. That's how they look at it. Cat just happens to be one of the guys at the higher level that looks at it, and so he made the indictment, which I understand. I think there's some nuance to it, but I understand. Now, also, my thing is, if you're going to use writers and stuff like that, I personally don't have an issue with it. My thing is, if you're going to use writers and stuff, keep them working because you want to come up with fresh material. You don't want to be doing the same show 3 or 4 years in a row. Um, I've seen that happen. Actually, it was with Kevin Hart. My wife likes Kevin Hart, but we went to two Kevin Hart shows and he did pretty much the same material. And I was like, man, bro, what's it was funny the first time. You got this show, you got a special doing the same jokes, and now you're doing another show doing the same jokes. It's not about it no longer becomes about the show. It no longer becomes about entertaining people, it becomes about uh collecting as much money as you can. And that's my personal issue with Kevin Hart and a lot of people like that. Especially with comedy. You I would like to hear fresh comedy. I don't want to hear the same I don't want to hear the same show uh every time uh I see you. Hey, what up, Angry Snowman? What up? What up, brother? How you feeling, man? I said um Angry Snowman is another one of he's another YouTube creator. Uh hey, the brother is funny, but it's not the type of humor. You have to be extremely desensitized and not take anything personal for Angry Snowman show to really get what he's really saying. If you listen to what he talks about with emotional ears, um, you're going to get your feelings hurt. That being said, I love his material because I understand it. I've been around it before. I get it. When him and Dirty Folks get together and do the Dirty Folks podcast, another excellent content creator. When they get together, it is magical, dirty water, dirty water happening. Check it out. Check it out when you get a chance. If you like it, subscribe to the channel. You know. Um, so welcome to the show, Angry Snowman. So um yeah, the whole thing with creation is that with these shows and stuff, you I like comedians who don't do the same material every time you see them. It's like uh I I look at it different than with musicians, but even with musicians, if I'm going to go watch a musician perform every three or 4 years, have some new material. I don't want to see you do all the same songs for 4 or 8 years in a row, it's yeah, do figure out something new. Unless we're doing you know, you know, a classic show of yours, then I can see that because then I know on the front end what I'm getting into. Okay. So, but yeah, man, yeah, getting back, to what he was saying about Kevin Hart, uh, it's, he he got a lot of help, because he's in that, he's got some benefactors that wanted to see him in a certain place for he's serving a purpose to people with more influence.
Before I discovered Riverside, I avoided online podcast interviews at all costs.
So yeah, let's see what he's talking about some more.
In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing.
Let's stop. Let's go.
Part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke.
Right.
And this joke is one of those jokes in comedy where you set it up.
Let's rewind it a little bit. See what he has to say. Because said the entertainer wasn't safe.
And that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that. Okay, no. What comes out in 2000?
The original Kings of Comedy.
Right. I'm on BET's Comic View, and they're using this as the commercial in 1998. Okay. That's why I'm saying, yeah. So if I said the dates wrong, yeah. So
yes. Let's go back and clear that up.
Okay.
You said,
yeah.
I had Cedric on here, and I asked him about the joke stealing, and he said the timeline doesn't add up.
Correct.
To that point, you say.
Right. So he thought that I was just a no-name comedian and that he could take this joke and nobody would know.
Right.
The issue was that I had already done this particular joke on BET's Comic View twice.
Right.
It had done so well on BET's Comic View that they had made it part of the commercial. So part of the commercial of make sure you tune in to BET was you seeing me doing this joke.
Right.
And this joke is one of those jokes in comedy where you set it up and it takes a little longer to set it up, takes about 3 minutes, but then you're just hitting them with jokes after that because you don't have to set it up.
Right.
Mark Curry had already helped me work on this joke because I thought it was good because I was getting a standing ovation on it. He had me go back in the lab and help me craft it to be an even more powerful joke. So this is not just a random joke. This is my very best joke, and it's my last joke, and it's my closing joke.
Okay.
1998, I'm doing this joke. It's on Comic View. Cedric comes to the Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on the Kings of Comedy. And he's doing it verbatim. He's just changed my car into a spaceship.
Man, I remember both of those jokes, and I can understand what Katt is saying because the jokes they look very similar. They do. And that being said, there is an issue, and said is one of the gatekeepers as well. Um, and there's an issue that we see from time to time, and actually, we're watching it happen with the former Harvard president Claudine Gay, with her plagiarizing the material of others and passing it on as her intellectual property. I'm of the viewpoint, and I think I'm not the only one. There's a fine line between inspiration and theft, of intellectual property. you can have people that can be doing something that will inspire certain thoughts, creation or innovation within you, but where does it cross the line to become uh, you see somebody doing something or creating something, and it inspires you so much that you steal their whole idea and pass it off as your own. um, it has happened to me before. In my former employment, uh, there are certain ideas, management ideas that um, I said, "Hey, this needs to be done," and then they did it, and the person who did it took credit for it, never gave me any credit, um, and it was another bullet point on their resume. Fortunately, there were people around who know that that's what happened, but I wasn't in a position I can do anything about it. But this happens all the time. This happens all throughout the entertainment field. This happens through a lot of fields. It happens in academia. It happens in all sorts of places. And this is the problem with creation. Um, you know, people steal. you know. Angry Snowman said, "You saw how Joe Rogan ended Carlos Mencia's career because of stealing jokes." Yeah, I remember that. And see, I like Carlos Mencia, but Joe Rogan had a point. He had a point, and he's Carlos Mencia wasn't the only one. You know, he wasn't the only one. Yeah. Mike Reed says he took his wife to see a comedy show from a guy we know from Chicago. I was able to recite 90% of his jokes that he used to do back in Chicago when I was 21. It was new for her, so yeah, I get it. Uh, yeah, 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 I've seen that. Uh, to Angry Snowman's point, the joke, from the last video scenes that we saw that Cat Williams is talking about, um, it is Angry Snowman's position that those jokes weren't really the same jokes; they were different. Um, yes and no. How the jokes were structured, um, I think were I think the premise was the same. I think the output was different. It's like, cars. You have different models of cars, but at the end of the day, they're still cars. you know, um, but I mean, I can see both sides. I can see uh, Cat Williams' side, and I can see your side, Angry Man, and Angry Snowman. I can see your side. Uh, I would understanding what I know about the entertainment field. I would say uh, there was probably some stealing going on. And I mean, the thing about it is, especially with comedians and even like rappers and stuff, one of them hear a hot, you know, rappers hear a hot bar, and they'll go write something similar to it, or a hot concept comes up and everybody want to rap about it, and to the point to where all the songs start sounding the same. Comedians do that with jokes and stuff. So it was like I can understand what Cat was saying, but you know, I can understand Sid's side too. That really wasn't the same joke. Although I'm leaning a little bit more towards Cat's side on this. Uh, so you have that. So basically. again, this was kind of you know, before I even go into that, let's look and see what if we can find what Katt said about Ricky Smiley. Let's see if we can find some more. I mean, he went on Ludacris, which Ludacris responded with a rap song. If this is in this particular
These
video,
CEOs started with nothing,
we'll talk about it.
but they didn't just climb the ladder. They built their own.
In 15 years in Hollywood, lie. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, they're all a group. Cedric, Steve, Ricky, they've been a group. Everybody knows that. They've been aligned. And there are these alliances in comedy. And if you stand against them, then they sometimes have a problem. But we don't let that change the content, because that's all you know me for, is that I'm quite likely to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. That's what these comics understand, is that I'm not doing nothing for clout. I don't even recognize clout. But eventually the Lord is going to let me and you be in one hallway. A lot of these dudes go. Kevin Hart done went 25 years without ever being in the same building with me at the same time. If I go in the building, he walk out. You've never seen us in the same building ever in 25 years. Like, it's like that.
Cat got smoke. You got that smoke for Kevin. Let's look at it a little more. Fair use. Fair use.
I'm still coming in for par, guaranteed.
Are you playing for the tips?
No. I've found that you don't get anything for that. It seems very egomaniacal. They go, hey, Katt, for free, you can go further back. Damn, what? Wait a minute, does it still count the same? Hey, I'm up at the ladies' tee. Don't tell me my pronouns. On the golf course, I'm she, her.
That again?
They've already announced it. It's already going. You didn't know?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Kevin Hart purchased it, so he's now doing Comic View. That happened at the same time that they gave DC Young Fly Hollywood Squares. Where? Yeah, because they tell you that there's no game.
All right. We'll stop that right here. And let me not have it refresh the browser. That automatic refresh.
Listen, if you want to become
kind of a pain in the ass. Anyway, basically, Katt spilled the grease on a whole lot of people on the comic scene, and he made a lot of people uncomfortable. But he gave a lot of credit to people that actually put in the work as well. He spoke frankly and stuff, and some people gonna be offended. Yeah, he did. He drug Ricky Smiley. So and now Steve Harvey straight up Angry Snowman says, uh, Steve Harvey straight up stole jokes from Katt, damn near word for word. Yeah, yeah, you know. he said, he said your commercial traffic on YouTube is crazy, bro. It's irritating, especially because I can't get paid for it, man. I got to figure some things out. I'm building it as I'm flying it. Angry. I'm building it as I'm flying it. I'm trying to get this all figured out, man. I'm trying to figure out, how to make the show better, because I would eventually like to start making money off this channel. Ain't got to get rich, but I'd like a little bit, and I'd be cool. So yeah. But yeah, man. My takeaway from the interview, because I actually watched the interview Saturday. Um, Katt, he says what's on his mind, and he's not afraid to do so because he has enough talent, um, and he has enough presence to not worry about being canceled. And at the same time, you know, he put some people on notice. He exposed some stuff and he put some people on notice, and he let them know, I see you, and and not in a good way. I see you. You can tell people I see you, and it means, hey, I dig it what you're doing. You know, I see you making positive moves. And then there's also, I see you in that I see the bullshit you on. And I think this is more or less what Cat Williams was saying, you know, um, in this interview. Um, I would like to see some more stuff out of Cat. I remember back in the day, he was on social media a lot when he was going through whatever he was going through when he got choked out by the little kid. He got choked out by an 11-year-old. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, man, Cat was going through it, man. And the thing is that, man, we all go through it at some point and to some degree during the course of our lives. You have your high points and your low points. The thing is you want to maximize your high points and minimize your low points and try to hopefully stay somewhere in a comfortable middle. And I think, and this is something I hope for Cat Williams. We lost not too long ago. We lost Robin Williams, one of the all-time greats in my opinion. We lost him due to depression. And the thing about it is, you see a lot of things like this in this field. We lost Patrice O'Neal due to diabetes, complications from diabetes. Um, and we see this, you know, we see this in the comedy field as well, where you have people, you know, they they have something about them that becomes self-destructive, and sometimes you know it overtakes them. But sometimes unfortunately, that is a part of what endears them to many of us. Richard Pryor had his issues. You know, I would say even Eddie Murphy, him and his woman problems and different things. Um, you see this with all the great, comics, musicians, um, lots of times with actors. You see this with people who accomplished great things. They have great struggles in some areas, but and they all have stories about the gatekeepers. On the Hollywood side, it was the Harvey Weinstein and the Epstein guy. Uh, you know, I don't care what anybody say. I think Ellen DeGeneres is one of the gatekeepers. You know, not saying that gatekeeper is synonymous with certain with the panty crimes, but you know, uh, there's some hoops you got to jump through. Tyler Perry, he's a gatekeeper. We've heard stories about Tyler Perry. Um, you know, there are Oprah Winfrey is a gatekeeper. We've heard stories about her over the years. You know, and there are many others. You know, um, Puffy with music. Facts, Mike Reed, Puffy with music. We mentioned before, he's one of the gatekeepers of music. Quincy Jones, one of the gatekeepers. No relation, no relation. But he's one of the gatekeepers of music. Clive Davis. He was one of the gatekeepers on music, and he had his. We've heard stories about Clive Davis. Um, you know, Russell Simmons. He was, we've heard stories about Russell Simmons. He's one of the gatekeepers. Okay, Angry Snowman says comics use their personal demons and make jokes about it. That's how they cope by laughing with others at themselves. Very true. Very true. I would agree, and it's like your best comedians seem to do very exceedingly well in that regard. Jay Z is a gatekeeper. Without a doubt, he's a gatekeeper. Without Jay Z, we wouldn't have had Rockefeller. We wouldn't have had Freeway. What's that? That guy, Beanie Siegel. We wouldn't have had. You know, um, we wouldn't have. We wouldn't have had Kanye West. You know. So yeah, Jay Z is a gatekeeper, and there's some. You know, there's some Jay Z stories out there. How true they are, I don't know. So, you know, but you have your gatekeepers, and even in YouTube in certain sectors, you have your gatekeepers, and in certain spheres, you have gatekeeper wars. you know, um, even with um Kevin Samuels, there was rumors of attempts of him seizing power and trying to become a gatekeeper. So you have it in certain spheres. In YouTube, Fresh and Fit are others that are considered to, you know, uh, be you know gatekeepers, and there have been certain things said that they've tried to practice gatekeeping. So you have it in certain spheres. You have it on YouTube, and gatekeeping is going to occur wherever you go. Then for every gatekeeper you have, you're going to have a Cat Williams. You're going to have somebody. Akron Zippy, what up, baby? How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by, man. Uh, for every gatekeeper you have, you're going to have a barbarian at the gate who's going to kick the door open and expose the gatekeeper to the rest of the world and expose how they are gatekeeping and all of the shenanigans that the gatekeepers are going to be doing. So, you know, it'll be interesting to say. And I think we are just at the beginning of a whole lot of stuff that's going to be revealed to the public this year, and especially on the political side, because there's some stuff that's happening that's being exposed that a certain political party is going to have. They're going to be throwing up a lot of distractions because their gatekeeping tactics are being exposed little by little, but it's getting to be uh, more and more frequent, and those exposures, I believe, going to be are going to get bigger. So, with that, I'm going to end this live stream. I might come back later on tonight. It depends. Um, yeah, Akron Zippy, they've been doing this at this weekend in Black Medicine. yeah. Yeah, they it's almost an annual thing, Akron. Akron Zippy, it is almost an annual thing. But at this point, I'm going to end this live stream. If you have not already liked this video,